Something shifted with this one, because this is not just another internet drama cycle anymore. Word coming out of close sources is that Erika Kirk genuinely broke down over Druski's viral skit. And when you understand the full weight of everything this woman has been carrying since September, the grief, the scrutiny, the conspiracy theories, the relentless public pressure, you start to understand why this particular moment hit differently than everything else that came before it. 272 million views across X and Instagram combined. And the story behind what is actually happening behind closed doors is something nobody is fully talking about yet. Stay right here, because this one goes deep. Let us start with the scale of this, because the numbers alone tell a story that words almost cannot capture. 183 million views on X, 89 million on Instagram, 272 million combined. Bro, that is not a viral video. That is not even a cultural moment. That is a seismic event. To put that in perspective, most major Hollywood blockbusters do not get seen by 272 million people globally in their entire theatrical run. Druski dropped a skit from his phone and it eclipsed that in days. And every single one of those 272 million views is attached to Erika Kirk's face, Erika Kirk's mannerisms, Erika Kirk's public statements being dramatized and reflected back at the world through a comedy lens. There is no PR strategy in existence that can undo that kind of reach. There is no statement, no interview, no press conference that puts that back in the box. And close sources say that reality, the sheer unstoppable scale of what this became, is a significant part of what broke her down. Now, before we get into what is happening behind closed doors, let us make sure everybody is fully caught up on the skit itself, because the details matter enormously here. Druski dropped the video titled, "How Conservative Women in America Act." Full prosthetics, blonde wig, heavy makeup, white jacket. The transformation was so complete that X's own AI Grok looked at a still image from the skit and identified it as Erika Kirk with complete confidence. Not a parody, not a costume, just Erika Kirk. That exchange alone pulled nearly 500,000 views independently. The skit moves through a patriotic rally referencing Charlie Kirk's Arizona memorial, a mock Iran war press conference, a Starbucks drive-thru, a Bible testimony, and then the moment that stopped the internet, his character at a podium delivering a speech about protecting white men in America specifically, while a guard visibly reacts behind him. He never said her name, not once. And that single decision is the reason this story has played out the way it has. Now here's where this story separates itself from every other celebrity drama you have seen this year. Because to truly understand why Erika Kirk broke down, you have to understand what her life has actually looked like since September 2025. Her husband Charlie Kirk, co-founder of Turning Point USA, one of the most prominent voices in the American conservative movement, was shot and killed while speaking at an event at Utah Valley University, assassinated in public, while doing the thing he had dedicated his life to. And in the immediate aftermath of that, Erika Kirk did not get the quiet space to grieve that most people in that situation would need. She was instantly thrust into the most intense public spotlight imaginable. She stepped up to lead Turning Point USA as CEO, an enormous responsibility under any circumstances, let alone while processing the violent loss of your husband. And from that moment, the scrutiny never let up for a single day. Every public appearance gets dissected frame by frame. People analyze her facial expressions in real time, looking for signs that her grief is or is not authentic. Candace Owens has been publicly and repeatedly questioning whether her mourning is genuine and pushing conspiracy theories about the circumstances of Charlie's death. Joe Rogan went on his podcast 5 days before Druski's skit dropped and called her an odd duck, used the phrase demon eyes, and showed footage of her CBS interview to millions of listeners. She sat as Trump's personal guest at the 2026 State of the Union while the entire room chanted her dead husband's name, and cameras stayed on her face, and the whole internet formed opinions about her expression in real time. This is the environment she has been living in every single day since September. And then Druski drops a skit that gets 272 million views. You start to understand why something eventually breaks. But here's the context that reframes the entire emotional dimension of this story. Because the reason Druski's skit landed so precisely, the reason it felt so uncomfortably accurate to so many people, is because it was rooted in a very specific real-world moment. 2 weeks before the skit dropped, Erika Kirk stood at a podium in Arkansas alongside Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders at a Turning Point USA expansion event. Professional setting, cameras rolling, and she delivered a line that the internet immediately turned into a flashpoint. Don't let anyone disenfranchise you because you're a young man, especially a young white male man. Young white male man. 4 words said consecutively into a live microphone at a public press conference. The clip went viral the same day. TikTok and X ran with it within the hour. The phrase became a meme before the event had even ended. And people were also pointing out that a black student was standing directly behind her as she delivered the line, which layered onto the clip in a way the internet absolutely refused to let go of. Alright, so this is the part where the story shifts from internet drama to something with a lot more human weight to it. Close sources say Erika Kirk's reaction to this skit has been unlike anything her inner circle has witnessed since the immediate aftermath of Charlie's death. The word being used by people close to her is devastated. Not just angry, though the anger is absolutely real and present, but genuinely devastated in a way that goes beyond the political and lands somewhere much more personal. And when you sit with that for a second, it actually makes complete sense. Because here's what Erika Kirk is dealing with simultaneously. She is still grieving. Charlie Kirk was killed months ago, and no matter how composed she appears in public, no matter how many press conferences she gives or speeches she delivers, that grief does not just switch off. It is there every single day. And now, on top of that grief, she is watching a 272 million view comedy skit that puts a blonde wig and prosthetics on her public image and plays it back to the world for laughs. Sources say the people closest to her have been genuinely concerned. The combination of the scale of the views, the accuracy of the portrayal, and the timing, coming during what is already one of the most painful periods of her life, hit in a way that was simply impossible to absorb without breaking down.
Erika Kirk has responded to Druski's impersonation, and Druski is set to face legal action. In Druski's latest video, he recreated Erika Kirk almost exactly. The all-white outfit, the entrance holding fireworks, the signature double take, the half-crying, half-smiling expression, the exaggerated gestures, and the slightly awkward speaking rhythm. As soon as the video was released, the first reaction from netizens was, "It's too similar." But Erika Kirk clearly doesn't see it that way. In her response, she explicitly stated that the video has crossed the line of humor, and she will take legal action on grounds including malicious exploitation of her personal image and potential defamation. Some argue that comedy inherently involves exaggeration and mimicry, and that Druski is simply doing what he's always done. Others point out that when an imitation is so precise that it reinforces a public stereotype of a person, it ceases to be a joke and becomes harmful. What are your thoughts on this?
The online speculation has been running at full speed alongside all of this. Legal commentators debating whether she has a case. X threads picking apart every element of the skit looking for grounds for action. And through all of it, Druski's camp has remained calm and reportedly confident because he never said her name. He never identified anyone directly, and every element of that skit was grounded in things she actually said and did in public spaces. Now, while all of this has been unfolding behind closed doors, the public reaction has been something that genuinely reflects where America is at as a country right now. Because the divide on this one is not clean. It is not simply conservatives outraged and everyone else laughing. It is messier and more human than that, and that is what makes it so fascinating to watch play out. The counter-argument came back just as loud and just as consistent every single time. Erika Kirk chose to step into public life. She chose to lead Turning Point USA. She chose to stand at that Arkansas podium and deliver those words into a microphone at a public event with cameras present. She chose to sit in the House chamber as the president's personal guest. She is a public figure exercising public power, and satire has always been the language that holds public power to account. That is not new. That has always been the deal. Here is where everything stands. 272 million views. A woman who close sources say genuinely broke down, not just out of anger, but out of grief, exhaustion, and the weight of watching her public image become the biggest comedy moment of 2026. A comedian who built an airtight position by never once saying her name. A real press conference clip that mirrors the skit almost frame for frame. And a cycle that has not slowed down for a single week since September. This is bigger than a comedy skit now. This is a story about grief, about public life, about where the line sits between satire and something more human. And that conversation is nowhere near finished. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Anyway, this concludes today's video. Be sure to subscribe to LoafTube for future celebrity videos, and turn on that post notification bell so you don't miss out on any future uploads. Until then, see you in the next one.